Welcome to Press TV's News Review. Dozens of British lawmakers from Prime Minister Theresa May's Conservative Party have warned about a rebellion against her if a no-deal Brexit is not taken off the table. The letter of warning has been sent to Downing Street on behalf of the Brexit Delivery Group, which represents both Remain and Leave MPs. It calls on the government to allow a free vote in Parliament to remove the no-deal scenario. The lawmakers say they will force the government to delay Brexit if the agreement with the EU is rejected in Parliament. May's government says it is engaged in productive talks with Brussels to address the lawmakers' concerns urgently. The issue of the possible resurgence of a hard border between the Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland remains to be the main sticking point in the EU-UK negotiations. I'm going to be discussing this issue with Amina Taylor. She's our correspondent based in London, who's joining us, as you can see, to the left of your screens. Later on, I'm going to ask the contribution of Marcus Papadopoulos, editor with Politics First. He's joining us via Skype out of London. It's good to have you both in the program. I'm going to begin with Amina, our correspondent, to tell us the latest on this issue. Amina, over to you.
Well, the sad news is, if you're a fan of Theresa May in any case, is that she's being pulled into separate but distinctly opposite directions here on the Brexit matters. She's being held to ransom by a small yet powerful group of Brexiteers within her own party, led by the European Research Group. That's pretty much Jacob Rees-Mogg, Steve Baker and co., who say the no-deal option needs to be on the table as a negotiating tactic with Brussels. And then you have staunch Remainers like former Minister Justine Greening, who's saying she's prepared not just to leave the government, but to join up with this new independent group if the Prime Minister won't take this deal off the table, to remove this no deal as an option. Now, next Wednesday, there'll be further discussions in Parliament about the way in which the Prime Minister should go forward on Brussels. And you said in your introduction there that it's the backstop, the Northern Irish border issue there, and the return or the prospect of a return of a hard border. That's one of the sticking points with Europe. But ideologically, we have to understand that there is a core of people within the Conservative Party for whom any deal with Europe is being seen as a betrayal. So if Theresa May still goes with no deal and Europe even continues to have the least amount of influence over British politics, they'll still see it as a betrayal.
Okay, let's bring in Marcus Papadopoulos, editor with Politics First out of London, to tell us his understanding of the current situation of Brexit. Please put this into perspective for us. You know, what this latest development in EU-UK relations can mean, and what is that going to bring about, do you think?
Well, Theresa May is going to take this warning from a significant number of her own MPs very, very seriously, and indeed all the more seriously as a result of the resignation of 3 of her MPs this week from the Conservative Party, who then joined the so-called independent group, which is now sitting in the House of Commons. And I will say this, that the bid by Oliver Letwin, who is a very senior Conservative backbencher, Mr. Letwin's bid to prevent a no Brexit deal scenario from materialising does have the support of a lot of Conservative MPs. Conservative MPs who normally would be very loyal to Theresa May. Now, those MPs who are supporting Mr. Letwin's bid have told the Prime Minister that unless she allows a free vote on the bid by Mr. Letwin, then of course they will be very, very unhappy. They will be very, very angry. And therein lies a stark problem for Mrs. May, because a lot of those Conservative MPs could decide that if a no Brexit scenario is still on the table and could still materialise, then they might decide that they have no future in the Conservative Party and they could leave to either sit as independents or join the research group. And should that happen, then that is one way that we could see a snap general election called. Because after the developments this week, with now 9 Labour MPs having resigned from the party and 3 Conservative MPs having resigned from the Conservative Party, the arithmetic has changed quite dramatically in the House of Commons. So if more Conservative MPs are to resign from their party, and as I said, either sit as independents or join the so-called independent group, then of course Theresa May's problems will have multiplied immensely, and she might have no alternative but to call an early general election.
You know, Marcus, once I was reading somewhere, and I believe that this is a view that is shared by a lot of people who are viewing this issue of Brexit, that if it had not been for the issue of Brexit, any British Prime Minister would have stepped down so far, something that Theresa May has not done so far. And basically, you were talking about the possibility of general elections, but the question is that given the setback after setback that she's experiencing with the EU, why do you think that she has so far not given, or better yet, not stepped down?
Well, for all her weaknesses, for all her failings, we have to say that Theresa May has shown great tenacity, great determination and great courage in wanting to deliver Brexit. Now, it was only a few weeks ago at a meeting in the House of Commons in one of the committee rooms that the Prime Minister told her MPs, her Conservative MPs, that she will not lead the Conservative Party into the next general election, which is scheduled to be in 2022, that she wants to deliver Brexit and then she will step down. Now, that is what ultimately won her the confidence vote just before Christmas. And I think, as I said, we do have to pay credit to the Prime Minister, because it is not in the country's interest, it is not in the interest of the UK economy for the Prime Minister to resign now. What is required is for the House of Commons to come together and to deliver a Brexit which is sensible, which meets the needs of British businesses, of British industrialists, and of course of foreign investors. And it is quite easy when you're not in the driver's seat to criticise Theresa May, but who is providing an alternative? You know, Theresa May's withdrawal bill amounts to something like 500 pages. Well, no one from her own party has put forward a 500-page document saying what they want, what they would do if they were Prime Minister. And indeed, no one from the opposition parties has done that.
Okay.
So it's definitely not in the interest for her to resign. She needs to deliver Brexit. Sure. And then after Brexit, she has to decide when she steps down.
Right. Thank you very much, Marcus. Let's just ask one final question from Amina. Amina, I'm sure you agree that, like, if people were given the choice back in 2016, and if they were given at the same time the same understanding of the Brexit issue that they have today, a lot of them wouldn't have said yes. In 30 seconds, just give us what your understanding is of the general feeling about the current issues.
Well, I disagree actually with that premise. I think a lot of people actually were very clear about what they voted for and why they voted for. Maybe youngsters who were 16 at that time and perhaps couldn't vote would come in now, but Leave voters were very clear about why they voted Leave, and I think it's only a small minority of those voters who would have had their mind changed, and this is the problem. Britain is going to be split by this Brexit decision for generations to come.
Right. That's Amina Taylor, our correspondent in London, to the left of your screens. And on the right, I had the pleasure of speaking to Marcus Papadopoulos, editor with Politics First, via Skype out of London. It was good to have you both on the program. I appreciate your time. Thank you. And thank you, viewers, for joining us for this edition of News Review.